Hi everyone! This is Quest. Today I will be reading a story about a prince learning to play chess. Make sure to like and subscribe. I hope you enjoy! Here's the story. Once upon a time, in a land of knights and kingdoms, there was a young prince named Frederick who had always been fascinated by the game of chess. He had heard tales of how the game was played and how it required strategy and cunning to win. One day, while he was walking through the kingdom's courtyard, he saw a group of knights gathered around a board. They were playing chess, and the game looked intriguing. "May I watch?" he asked the knights. "Of course, your highness," they said, welcoming him to join in the game. The knights began to explain the rules of chess to Frederick. They showed him the chessboard, which had 64 squares, alternately colored black and white. "The game is played on this board," said one of the knights. "Each player has 16 pieces, which are placed on the board at the beginning of the game." Frederick looked at the board and saw the pieces. He noticed that there were two different colors of pieces, one set white and the other black. "The game starts with the pawns," said the knight who was explaining the rules. "They are the small pieces in front of each player. They move forward 1 or 2 squares on their first move, and then only 1 square after that. They capture diagonally, 1 square forward and to the left or right." Frederick watched as the knight moved a pawn 2 squares forward. He then saw the other player move their pawn 1 square diagonally, capturing the white pawn. Next, the knight explained the rooks, which were the tall pieces at the corners of the board. "These are the rooks," said the knight. "They can move any number of squares vertically or horizontally. They are very powerful when used together." The knight moved the rook a few squares to show Frederick how it worked. Then he showed him the knights, which were the pieces next to the rooks. "These are the knights," he said. "They move in an L-shaped pattern, 2 squares in one direction and then 1 square in a perpendicular direction. Knights are very useful for attacking and capturing other pieces." The knight moved the knight piece in an L shape and captured one of the pawns. Then he showed Frederick the bishops, which were the pieces next to the knights. "These are the bishops," he said. "They can move any number of squares diagonally. They are particularly useful for controlling the center of the board." The knight moved the bishop a few squares diagonally. Then he showed Frederick the queen, which was the most powerful piece on the board. "This is the queen," he said. "She can move any number of squares vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. She is very useful for attacking and controlling the board." Finally, the knight showed Frederick the king, which was the most important piece on the board. "This is the king," he said. "He can move 1 square in any direction. The object of the game is to protect your king and put your opponent's king in checkmate, where the king is under attack and cannot escape capture." As Frederick watched the game, he began to understand how each piece worked and how they could be used to capture the other player's pieces. He saw how the knights could jump over other pieces, how the bishops could control the center of the board, and how the queen was the most powerful piece on the board. And so, with the help of the knights, Frederick learned how to play chess, and he discovered the joy and excitement of the game. He knew that he would continue to play and learn for years to come, using his strategic mind to outwit his opponents and capture their kings.